of dynamics playing between parents and children. Plenty of parents or majority of parents will have very difficult time in accepting that, hey guys, sorry, I don't know this, or I'm sorry, I made a mistake. The intentions are right. I would like to believe, as a parent, as a child, intentions are right, emotions are right. Sometimes it's just a wrong timing. Understanding, self-realizing, being mindful while talking to your children and talking to your parents. It's needed both ways. I think everybody is little confused, worried, and yes, protective as well.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Inner On Streams and yet another episode of Inner Voice Counseling. I am your host Aditi and today we are joined by a very special guest. She is Miss Suruchi Sani. She is a national and state level certified professional counselor, a clinic trauma professional, and a yoga trainer by profession. She, for over 16 years, has been inspiring people through motivational talks and has also been conducting sessions which have helped a lot of families. It's my pleasure to have you on the podcast, ma'am.
Thank you, Aditi. It's a pleasure to be here as always. And greetings, everyone.
So, in today's podcast, we'll talk about why children find it very difficult to talk to their parents, to talk things out, because we know that it is very important to communicate in a relationship, especially when it comes to your parents. So, now, why do you think that kids find it difficult to talk to their parents?
So I think first and foremost, we really need to understand that there are plenty of dynamics playing between parents and children. Parents come from a different world. They have their history and the way they were raised and treated. So they also have their own limitations, even though it's very difficult for parents to accept that, oh, I don't know this, or I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I know a lot of parents who are able to do it. That's great. But I would still say even today, plenty of parents or majority of parents will have very difficult time in accepting that, hey guys, sorry, I don't know this, or I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And when it comes to kids, as children, I can tell growing up in India that when we are growing up, usually parents try to provide us everything that they can possibly. I'm talking about not only like clothes, food, etc., but also they try to protect us. They try to do their best that kids ko kuch nahi hona chahiye, etc. In the process, we become so in tune with them that whatever we want, they are going to provide us. No questions asked. But then we start to grow up because when we are younger, our needs are very basic that protect us, feed us, give us a place to sleep, study, send us to good school, etc. But then we become a little bit older, and obviously our brain is expanded, our bandwidth is more. And in today's time, kids, they know a lot. A lot of things are correct, and a lot of things need some modifications, right? But we start to demand sometimes. The intentions are right. I would like to believe, as a parent, as a child, intentions are right, emotions are right. Sometimes it's just a wrong timing, that we do. So these are the discussions and conversations that we need to have in our living rooms, at least on a Sunday, in between parents and children. So basically, all the examples that I'm giving you, it increases the communication gap. That parents say, मैंने ये बोला था, नहीं किया, therefore. Kids will say, I requested you for this thing, you didn't, therefore. And that's where the communication, ठीक है, बात ही नहीं करते. Okay, they don't understand me. That's very easy to say, but I think if both of the people can continue to grow together as parents and as children and try to understand each other, there will be a much better communication. So basically, it boils down to a poor communication and lack of understanding.
Mom, sometimes what happens is your parents, in fact, I'm not blaming it on them. What I'm trying to say is that, as you mentioned, they do not accept it sometimes. So, past reactions do matter a lot. So, do you think that these past reactions somewhere make the child hesitant to talk to their parents.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. And on a side note to all the parents who are listening, Aditi is 100% right that this is not a blame game. We are just trying to explore through her and through me talking about it. So back to your point, Aditi. Yes, past reactions does interfere. And even if I will sit here and try to dissect that what are these reactions coming from, there are very high chances that those reactions are not theirs. They have inherited them, from somewhere, either maybe a parent, grandparent, a school teacher, a coach, or something. So that's why sitting down, understanding, self-realizing, being mindful while talking to your children and talking to your parents, it's needed both ways. Now, the situation here, because parents are adults, so primarily it's their duty to start this kind of conversations at home when kids are young. If you are trying to have a conversation with already a 15-year-old who have already has a kind of a baggage carrying, like you reacted that way, you yelled at me, or you didn't agree, I already have a baggage, and now you are trying to start a conversation, that will take a lot of time, but it's still doable. I urge, if parents are listening or teachers or coaches are listening, please start conversation. The older your kid is, it's going to be difficult, but it's not impossible. As far as the kids are concerned, when parents react, it hurts us because they are the protectors, right? So called. But since your generation or even the previous generation, they are so kind of exposed to a lot of psychology by default, I would say give it your best shot to try to understand that this might not be parents reacting to us. This might be something they have inherited. So when you feel hurt, take your time. You need 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, no problems. But then still try to come back to your parent. Give them some leeway, and they will also give you. Give it a shot, because I think parents did not grow up with psychology. They were not exposed. Internet was kind of limited. But you guys are at an advantage that way.
Ma'am, one thing I believe is that we as kids we are very exposed to social media these days. So Abhi, you talked about कि कैसे parents are protective, and I understand that yes, this protectiveness is required in certain states.
Hmm.
But kids watch social media and they want independence, and I think this is something that strikes. This is
Hmm.
something which makes the barrier more broad. And we
Hmm.
as kids do not convey things sometimes. We think we want our independence, and probably parents don't need to know.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
So, social media is very complicated because it is such a new bombardment to everybody's lives and brains. So, I think sometimes I feel a few people who are trained or who are in this field, or psychologists, or social workers, they might have a little extra information, but social media happens so fast. Excuse me, it happens so fast that people are still trying to understand that. So, going back to your point, I think I cannot say parents have complete understanding. I cannot say kids have complete understanding. So, I think everybody is little confused, worried, and yes, protective as well. I mean, imagine a scenario. I actually worked with a client. She's young, I think 21, 22, if I remember. She was the one who told me that, I'm a little worried. My parents are always on social media, to the point that we are sitting on the dining table. I want to talk to my sibling, and everybody's on the phone. I don't like that. Think about it. So I think everybody is bombarded with this whole social media, different venues, cell phones, iPhones. So I don't think so anybody knows how to manage that. So when it comes to parents trying to discipline their kids, so aware parents, I would say people who have ever read a little bit of neuroscience, if they are able to explain to their children that why we are doing that, I think kids will have a less difficult time. When they just do like a old fashioned parenting style, that hum keh rahe hain to band karo, that I am not going to fully agree. Sometimes it's okay, there is an examination, आपको बंद करवाना है, ठीक है, but if this is your regular way of doing it, I don't think so it's going to work, because we as adults, we are the one who want our kids to become independent, to be intelligent, not only in studies these days, also we want their awareness to be on the international level, because that's what you are competing with today, right? So on one hand, we want that, but on other hand, we want our kid to just listen and without any explanation. I'm sorry, parents, teachers, and coaches, it will be difficult for you guys to be able to do it. So first, the easy thing is to have just basic understanding of neuroscience. And I'll share right now with you that why we tell people and ourselves not to be on social media all the time. It's protection, absolutely, because there are a lot of people on social media who are trying to interfere or who are trying to reach young children and make them their puppets and then use them and abuse them. It's happening quite a bit, and percentage has gone up multi-folds. So yes, please be careful, kids and adults. On the second note, my request to parents is to try to have an understanding and give them a better explanation that when we are on social media all the time, our thinking capacity, the part of the brain which does thinking, starts to reduce because we are just following like a puppy. So social media, if we are following other people, we are taking other people's thoughts and we are not even processing, we are just following. We are not using our brain. And that is not okay. So and social media waste time. So we are following people blindly. We are not processing. Second, we are wasting our time. And this time as a student will never come back. Either you are using it for your benefit or you are wasting your time for other people's benefit who are social media influencers. You have a choice. So if parents talk to your kids like that and teachers talk to the kids like that, I would like to believe kids are very smart. They are intelligent. They will understand that, oh my God, I didn't even think about it, that my brain is being abused and I have stopped thinking. Don't be a parrot that when what you read, you become, you get good grades, and that's about it. No, you need to think.
In fact, ma'am, there's a very famous quote by Jessie Lair. She says that children are not things to be molded. They are papers that are needed to be unfolded. So I think one thing that is, the kids are very complicated sometimes. I would say for myself as well, I'm not able to express myself very properly. I want to say something, but I'm not able to express it very well. So but the communication again is always both-sided. The parents also need to understand and the kids also need to understand. It's always both-sided. So sometimes what happens is parents are in the bad mood. Probably they are facing some issue. And of course, there are a lot of burdens and a lot of responsibilities. So how do you think they should handle those issues in order, and then when they handle their issues finally, tabhi to jaake they'll be able to talk to us calmly. So how do you think that should
happen? First and foremost, I would like to believe that most of the parents are professionals these days. And I think most of parents also would like to have their own kind of social circle. So probably spending a little bit of time on Friday, Saturday with the friends, and rightfully so, nothing wrong with it. I think this not having a self-care Sunday or not having time to themselves, not able to think, and I feel parents are usually stuck in a kind of a survival mode. That okay, job कर लिया, friend से मिल लिया, बच्चे को खाना दे दिया, fee pay कर दिया, and bank में saving हो गया, we are good. Yes, you are good as a survivor, but that's not the way to thrive. The question that you are asking is, that's where I call it like on a second level. First level, सब parents करते हैं, ठीक है, फीस भी देंगे, खाना भी देंगे, मिंगल भी करेंगे. But if you are a professional and you are an intelligent person, I would challenge you to go on the second level, where first parents also spend some time, at least 15 to 30 minutes every single day, if not possible, at least on a weekend, to sit with themselves and question yourself, how am I doing as a person, professional, and as a parent? I can, I can, assure you parents will figure out without anybody's help that how they can do better as a parent and as a professional and as a human being. Same thing kids can do. What you are saying is that kids are to be unfolded. That's exactly, they can be unfolded if somebody around them is ready to that exploration. If the parents or grandparents or teachers or coaches are not ready for when kid is unfolding, they are going to try to control everything with what they are familiar with. And hence, I go back to the same thing, a lot of inherited things from their parents, their teachers, coaches, and whoever was there. So unfolding is very important, but managing that unfolding in children is even more important. So I think both ways, parents and kids, when they don't find time to self-reflect or reflect on others and how we are doing and how others are doing in our immediate surrounding, that's where the problem begins. So I am a huge advocate of self-care Sundays. If you don't have time on the weekends, if on Sunday you cannot find time to think and write some notes or reflect, I think that's a very big issue in today's time.
And one thing I also think is, even if we reflect and we feel like कि नहीं इस जगह पे problem है, maybe I should take a step. हम लोग, we do not initiate. We think the other person will come up and they'll talk, and we keep waiting, and this creates a gap. And this creates a gap in the relationship between the parent and the child. So this is one thing that I believe is also creating those communication gaps.
Yes, absolutely. Mental, maybe there is a better term for it. I call it like mental laziness. कि कोई आ जाए और सब कुछ ठीक कर दे. No, we are responsible for our lives. And especially when we are 14, 15 plus, we know what we are doing. If we don't take responsibility for it and we just want कि problem हम create कर रहे हैं और दूसरा ठीक करता रहे, everybody is a human being. People do get exhausted and burn out. Burn out as a student, burn out as a parent, burn out as a teacher, as a therapist. We all exist in this world together, in our homes together. So I think it's a combined responsibility. That's why when I talk about self-care Sunday, it's not only to self-care, like, extra nap le liya or meditate kar liya, ya self-reflect, journal kar liya. No, sit with your family. You also, how many kids actually sit on a Sunday and say, Mommy, Daddy, how are you doing? How was your week? हमेशा पेरेंट्स ही पूछते हैं, तो दोनों को पूछना चाहिए ना.
So one thing that I want to say is in fact what our family do is we play board games on Sundays, in fact anytime, and I believe so when we are together and we're playing things, हम लोग बातें करते हैं, we communicate, and we're very happy and we're living in that moment. So that I believe I very much agree to you, and I think that it is very important. Otherwise, we are always on phone or doing those things. So thank you very much. So the last question that I have is, how do parents actually make it easier for their child to talk?
For their child to
convey what's on their mind.
First and foremost, make it a habit will be patience. And you know how we can increase our percentage of patience in ourselves is by giving ourselves a little bit of break. Usually we don't have patience because when our brain is full with responsibilities, socialization, दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है, neighborhood में क्या हो रहा है. So when you are talking to your kid, the easiest thing you can do as a parent is take 15-30 minutes, sit quietly. अपने रूम में, स्टडी में, बाथरूम में, जो आपको जगह मिले, कार में बैठ जाओ उसको लॉक करके. 15-20 minutes, take some deep breaths, think about it, to the point कि बच्चे से क्या बात करना है. And then when you talk, you will come across as more patient. अगर आपकी anxiety और stress नीचे रहेगा ना जब आप बच्चे से बात कर रहे हो और young student से बात कर रहे हो, automatically the student is going to, or the child is going to feel the same vibrations. If your anxiety and stress is already high, and then you are trying to tell somebody that you need to do this, and the child is trying to explain that no mom, no dad, this is not going to be possible because of this, instead of understanding, गुस्सा आएगा because आप भी human being हैं, right? थकावट होती है, स्ट्रेस होता है, एंजाइटी होती है, एक्सेप्ट कर लें तो अच्छा है. पूरा हफ्ता, if there is anxiety and stress, do something on a weekend which will take away the stress and anxiety so that you can talk to yourself and talk to your children. It's very important. So patience, having low stress, anxiety, at least on a Sunday, is very, very important. I don't care if you shut down the whole world. That Sunday is my family day. I'm not listening to anybody. I'm not returning any text. On a side note, I actually do that. Sunday is my self-care day as a therapist, as a psychologist. So I don't shut down like text or messages throughout the day, but there are 4 hours in the morning where I don't return any messages to anybody because that's my time. Whether I meditate, take extra nap, whether I take like 30 minutes shower, that's my wish. And nobody has a right to interfere in that. So that kind of determination, if you can have, you yourself as a parent, and even for young students, you can resolve a lot of things among each other. Parents, children are not going anywhere. Parents are going to be in our lives. Children are going to be in our lives forever. And on the contrary, the children are going to have children at some time. So it's very, very important to set up that system very early on. And when you are doing that on Sundays, you are also teaching your children that no matter how busy you become, even if you become a CEO of a company, please do not ignore yourself and your mind. Very important. You read anybody's autobiography, anybody who is successful, right? You will see that they are very gung-ho about their self-care. They don't ignore it. So think, act, and take care.
Ma'am, I very much agree to you, and I think these are the little fuels that keeps the fire of the relationship burning. Otherwise, they might turn cold. So, before we end, any message that you have to say to other people out there, the viewers who are listening?
I would say, I think everything pretty much starts with self-care, and then it dwindles down to other parts of our lives. And if we think that, I can get away with it, yeah, you will get away with it. But is it that kind of quality of life you would like? So think about it. Like I said, survive to sab kar lete hain, but don't you want to thrive? As a professional, as a parent, as a child, as a would-be professional. So I think survival mode, हम लोगों ने ध्यान रखा है. Like I know India is doing very well for the most part. So let's go to the level 2, which is thriving. So we have a choice and we can do it. Let's go to level 2 and use a lot of our brain, a lot of our thoughts to make our life and our children's life easier.
I think, ma'am, I should take it as a lesson, because as a student who's currently in grade 11, all the time, either I'm thinking about studies, I'm thinking about exams, or I'm thinking about other things, social media, whatsoever. And I think that, yes, it is very important to take out time for yourself. So that's it for today's episode of Inner Voice Counseling. A very huge thanks to you, ma'am. And we talked about how to keep things and keep the relationship very smooth and running. So as we remember this quote from Pega Umaira: the way we talk to our children becomes their voice. So if you want to see other podcasts, you can always go and watch them on and on streams. And at that note, we end the podcast. Bye bye.